Right, I think we are live. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hope everyone's doing well. We'll just get our Facebook pages up so we can see who is watching us, if anybody. Let's have a look. Yes, we are here. Hello. Oh gosh, sorry, I just had to mute myself. Good morning. Happy Friday, Fem.
Happy Friday.
We made it.
Yay. And we met this week.
And we even met face to face, which is so nice.
First time. Yay.
Yeah, for the
Rachel's
first
here.
time. Hi,
Morning,
Rachel. How are you
She's
doing?
always there. How lovely is that?
Yeah, I know. I feel like you're a fifth team member. Yeah, Fem and I met this week in London, which was so good, and we did lots of strategy around the rest of 2020 and kind of the plans for our packages moving forward to make sure all of our content is as current as it can be, which was very exciting. And we went to Wagamama's and had a glass of wine as well.
Just one.
And yeah. The waiter was very good at upselling, and
Yes.
we and was like, well, if you're going to get 2 glasses of wine, you might as well buy a bottle. And we were very thirsty, so say hello if you're watching. We'd love to see who's on. Today we're talking about virtual showrounds, which is exciting. We did a course about this last week, and there's some really cool stuff you can do with virtual showrounds. It's interesting. We're going to chat about kind of what is being done in the industry at the moment, and what works, what kind of doesn't work, and stuff like that. So yes, welcome. If anyone's got experience of virtual showrounds, let us know. Tell us. Rachel, I'm sure you've potentially been on a couple, so let us know how they've gone. You don't have to say names and blame people, but yeah, interested to know people's experience of it. And Fem, I think you're going to kick off. I need to share the screen, don't I?
Yes. Yeah, so good morning. We've been talking so much about virtual showrounds recently, and I quite enjoy it now, talking about it.
So do I. I actually find it really interesting because it was quite nerve-wracking at the beginning.
Yeah, so we found this survey, which was done by MPI, and I really like this one just because it's very clear about what clients are thinking at the moment when they're booking an event, and what's important to them and what will influence their decision if they're going to book. They're going to book a venue or a hotel. So on the top there, what you can see is that to everyone, it's really important that you stick to all of the government safety rules and regulations, that you have your clear rules and guidelines around safety and cleanliness. So everything is really important about making sure that they feel safe and that they feel like they can send their delegates to your venue and that they're going to be looked after and that the delegates are going to go home feeling safe. And
that's the kind of obvious stuff that everyone
it is kind of obvious, and I think everyone is really focusing on that. But then if you go down to is a venue I've worked with in the past, it's only 36%. And I just think that that's so low down. So people are really shopping around at the moment and looking for venues that will work for them, that haven't necessarily been, is a venue that they've worked with before. So
I think that's really interesting.
Step it up.
Yeah. I think that's interesting because there's a lot about trust at the moment with the venues and the businesses that you're working with. And this poll just shows that people are willing to start that trust from nothing, and they're not necessarily going to the old venues and stuff all the time, and that, like you say, they're shopping around. So that says both things. Firstly, that there's business out there to be had, even if from new clients, and secondly, don't sit back on your laurels and think that old clients are going to come back.
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly touch on the one, the second to the bottom, which says has discounted rates, and that's really not important at all. And that just goes back to what we were talking about last week with people sending special offers, which is just a little bit inappropriate in these times, because it just doesn't, it's not received very well when people are just really worried about the safety rather than
and also, like, I feel like at the moment it's not to do with rate, it's to do with safety, social distancing, all of that, and really the offering and the trust that you've got, and by doing like 25% off or whatever in September as a kind of venue finder or a client, people are thinking, oh, if only I had bookings in December, I would be placing them and it wouldn't matter about rate. But actually,
No, it
you
wouldn't.
know,
Yeah.
so yeah, if the business isn't there, there's no point diluting the rates.
That's right. So so just kind of thinking about these figures and why it's important to have virtual showrooms. I mean, the obvious reason is that people may not be able to travel to your venue. So then it's just easier to do a virtual show around. And if you do them well, you can really, by catching a client early on in the process, avoid them shopping around a little bit more. So if you do your virtual show rounds as well as you may do your face-to-face show rounds, then you can really stand out from the crowd. And I think, you know, it's not just a COVID thing. I've been on virtual show rounds before this happened.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because sometimes it's, you know, there's an international barrier.
Yeah.
People just, or they quickly just want to see some of the spaces. But what it has been in the past is, you know, just walking around with your phone on selfie mode and going, oh, look at this, look at that. And I think there are ways to make it look more professional, and that's the direction it's going in. Even if COVID wasn't here, you know, people have less time, they want to travel less because of sustainability, which is also a good reason for a virtual show around.
And also, I think, like before, like you said, people probably weren't doing them that often, and therefore a phone was kind of the option that they had. Whereas now, everybody's doing virtual showrooms, so you need to be put in that kind of category that's leading and that knows what you're doing, because you're going to be up against other people who do know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where when you are a venue or a hotel, everything that you do well just gives you that much more chance of closing the business. And so if you just leave it and say, well, I'll do it, if this virtual showroom comes, I'll just wing it kind of thing, that's just not going to cut it, because everyone else is stepping up. So I think that is the most important bit. And then obviously it can be used for international clients, like we have mentioned, and that is now, and that's also in the future, and that just saves people going on unnecessary flights. So it's so much cheaper really to do it this way for both parties. And then we had another poll as well that we did on LinkedIn, which Kate is going to show you, where we asked what venues were thinking about virtual show arounds, and if you're a big fan, if you're totally undecided, or if you prefer to meet in person. And 64% say they still prefer to meet in person, and I totally understand that, because I am all about meeting in person. You can't beat meeting in person, and that will never change. It will always be so much easier to meet in person. But 20% said they were a big fan of a virtual tour, and 16% are undecided. And if you are undecided, or if you do say, oh, well, I much prefer to meet in person, I think it's time to start looking at the virtual options and kind of become a big fan of it. It has to be on par with a face-to-face show around, and it has to have the same kind of attention that you would give a face-to-face show around.
Yeah, I think this poll is actually really interesting in a few ways, like you say, because perhaps people who do prefer to meet in person might not be putting the time and effort into working out how virtual could work for them. And there are a lot of perks to doing it virtually, like you say, sustainability, also not as much time out of the office for your clients. Sometimes it can be cost saving, or we've talked about them before, like often on show rounds you'll be giving lunch to your clients or coffees and something. Is there a way you can remunerate that cost into something else that you could offer them virtually or in the post or something? There's quite a lot of cool things you can do to stand out from the crowd, I think.
Yeah, and next we are going to talk about the different types of show rounds, and I think it really depends on what the purpose of the show round is. But if it is a reactive show round, for example, and you've known about it for a week, it's so easy just to send your client something small and say, oh, let's have a coffee together, and send them something in the post that they can make tea with, or ask them for their favorite drink, and then send them a little something from your venue. And that also leads into other things that we'll talk about later about giving your client a flavor of what your venue is all about. But yeah, it's just, I think the main message really is get with the program. This is happening. You need to you need to start looking
You
into
step
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, there's some great ones out there, and I know a lot of people are doing it already, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, definitely. There are some cool ones which we've done in our kind of research, which we'll mention later. Just want to say hi to Jenny. Nice to see you. Good morning. And Claire, viewers, great to have you on. Claire spoke to Sarah yesterday. Sounds like you guys are doing all right. Let us know if you've done any virtual show rounds, Claire. It would be interested to hear about it. We're going to talk about the 4 types of virtual show rounds now, and this isn't dissimilar to the types of normal show rounds. So number 1 is general virtual show rounds, and this is things, the kind of pre-recorded stuff or even live, but stuff that you can post on social media that's not personal. You can use it in marketing, and it kind of gives an overview of changes since COVID. So I'm sure you've seen those videos online already of people saying kind of being by the hand sanitizer station in the lobby and saying, welcome back, we're open, this is our plan, and they kind of walk through the hotel and maybe show different areas. That's our kind of first type of virtual show round. A general virtual show round is usually they've been professionally shot, or looking like they've been professionally shot, and with a kind of member of staff, like I say, taking you around the hotel and telling you about the changes. And there's a couple of really great ones of this that we've seen, which we're going to pick out the reasons why we found them so good. We'll discuss in a minute. Another second type of virtual show round is a reactive show round. So this is usually what the reactive sales team are doing. So if you're like in the meetings and events team, and you get an inquiry through and they want to have a look at the space. So you're going through this space for a specific inquiry. You're discussing actual specifics of where their event's going to be, then where they're going to walk to go to the restaurant, or like where their breakfast is going to be served. So it's really inquiry specific. And there's kind of different structures between this show round and some of the other show rounds, because often, as I say, you're directing them to specific areas rather than giving them an entire flavour of the venue. Number 3 is proactive virtual show rounds. So this is when, if you've got maybe an agent coming in or a client that you haven't worked with before, or maybe they haven't been to the hotel for a few years or even 6 months, this has probably changed, and you're inviting them in, and you want to give a flavour of the brand, of who you are, what your ethos is, of the venue as a whole. So for these ones, you wouldn't be saying sort of, for your 20 delegates, this is going to be the room, and then they're going to walk and have lunch. It would be much more overview of what you're all about. So this is where kind of a bit of creativity can come in, which we're going to mention, as I say, in a minute. But like talking about giving that flavour really of who you are, and you can have a bit of fun with that. So that's proactive show rounds for new clients or agents to kind of showcase the hotel in general. And then number 4 is DIY show rounds. And again, please let us know in the comments if you've done any of these already, or if you've seen any good ones. DIY show rounds are I'm sure you've seen them online. I don't want to share my screen and show one because I think it's probably a bit unfair, but they're like a bit like Google Maps, but you're going around the hotel, and the reason we've dubbed it DIY show round is because I can sit in my desk and look around a hotel, and there's no member of staff knows I'm there. I just do it on my own, and have a little look around. These can be really useful on websites and to kind of give that factual information, but I'd be wary about using them perhaps too much because they don't have that much personality in them, and if you do offer them on websites, you just want to be a bit wary that clients aren't dismissing your option because of any reasons without you having the opportunity to come back and kind of negotiate or fight back on those objections. Not fight back, that's the wrong word, but discuss those objections. So yeah, they can be useful, but not much personality in the DIY show rounds. And yeah, some clients can kind of dismiss you if they feel like they've already been to their venue. So they're like, oh no, I don't need to meet up, I've already seen it. Yeah. So they are the 4 types of virtual show rounds. And now we're going to talk about some that we've seen in the industry at the moment. Fem, do you want to start with
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention Rachel's put a comment that she said, virtual showrounds are great when a client doesn't feel comfortable or they don't have time, but face to face is obviously better, and you get a very different feel. And that's something that we're going to mention later as well, about trying to bring that feel into your virtual showround. But the ones that we've seen that we really like, what they do is really show personality. So we've seen a few ones where people are walking through the venue and kind of showing the path that guests will take when they arrive at the hotel. So they hear you sanitize your hands and hear you check your temperature, and this is what the meeting rooms will look like. And all of these can be pre-recorded. And I think one of our kind of top tips is that not everything on the virtual show around has to be done live. So if you know what you're showing, you can really just have the same kind of structure as, and we'll talk about structure maybe later, but you can sit down with your client, talk to them just as you would be doing on a face-to-face show around, to get to know them a bit better, then show a video that you have pre-recorded, and that can have a personal message in there from the GM or from someone in your venue, from the chef. It could be walking, we talked about doing something back of house or something like that, and showing that kind of show the personality of your venue. And that's what really came across in the ones that we've seen. We love the one, I don't know if we can mention names, but the Sea Container Hotel.
We're promoting them, so I'm sure.
Okay, where they put they've, all of the staff had written little messages, and they just showed them with music in the background, and they were in this line, and then they appeared, and all the different people were, I know that person, I know that person, and they had such lovely messages that they all made themselves. And it's just different ideas that really make you remember a hotel and give you a kind of the impression of what they're like and what they're doing. And if you were to walk into the hotel, what kind of feeling would you get? And that
I think it's really interesting, specifically even that video, because I think a couple of things. Firstly, in the video, you don't really, I think it's shot in the lobby, but you don't actually see the hotel. You just see 5 or 6 of the staff members. They've all got masks on, so you don't even see their smiley faces. But they've handwritten their messages, which are really lovely and heartfelt, and welcoming you back and saying, we're really excited to see you. At the end, they obviously show their logo. And from my point of view, I'd never been to that hotel before. And that was enough for me to be like, oh my gosh, I love it. I really want to go there. I really feel the warmth, and because they showed the logo at the end, that instantly reflected to me what sort of brand it was. I could tell that it was really smart. It was, a upper class hotel, and just the way it was shot and everything. And whereas actually, I didn't see any of the hotel. No. So when I've been in hotels, then I would have been like, well, we need to show the meeting room, or well, we need to show what the lobby's like to get people to come. Actually, it's so much more about the personality. And even when Fem and I were saying, we met in London on Tuesday, and we've had the whole of London to go to a hotel, and we went to Sea Containers because of that video. because you were like, where do you want to go? Here. I was like, I want to go Sea Containers because I love that video, and I just bought into their brand so much.
The other one that we really liked was the Pulitzer in Amsterdam. That was really professionally shot, but actually it had the salesperson in the video, and he went around the hotel, walking around the hotel, and then it had like pictures of him sipping a coffee in the bedroom, and then it was him sitting at the table, and it was always the same person but doing the different things. And it was like, wow, these are all the things that you can do in this hotel. And in the meantime, also talking about COVID-19 and what their safety protocols were. And I was like, yes, I would go to that hotel because that looks safe to me. So I think, I 3 minutes, yeah. And then another company that's doing that really well at the moment is Marriott. So they have done one for each of their cities. Amsterdam is my favorite one, obviously, because I'm biased. But and they don't show any of the hotels or the meeting rooms or the inside. They don't mention maximum capacity, number of bedrooms, any of those things. They just go around, and it's usually one of the GMs from one of the hotels, and they just go around the city and show it. And it just makes you feel like I want to go to that hotel because I feel like they'll look after me, and they'll personalize it, and they don't just think, oh, we've got 10 meeting rooms and this is the maximum capacity. That information won't stick. If you watch videos, I won't remember any of that, but I'll remember a GM taking the time out of his day to go around Amsterdam on a boat, on a swing, on a bike. He was on all that.
I mean, they are lucky that they have a legend of a GM. Like, he was really cool.
But they have other cities as well, and it's such a good idea. And I think so. That's some of the examples I think of people who are doing it well. But that's not all of them. Show around, that's not that's just pre-recording a video, but on the actual day, I think bringing that kind of feeling into your virtual show around is a really good idea. And I think preparation is key. So because they're not the same as face to face, you need to make it as good as possible. So I mean, we do have a few top tips as well about I'm kind of skipping ahead, but maybe having a person with you to film you rather than you just going with your phone like this and then trying to show the room and then flipping back. It'd be so much easier if you had someone walking next to you. They film you and you kind of talking to the camera as if the person's next to you. And simple things like that, I think, just make.
And also, I mean, it sounds simple, but we're really skipping ahead here, but just reminded me, practicing. And when we did our workshop last week, we gave everybody a challenge to do a show round of their house with their phone
in their kitchen.
And one of them, Steph from Brooklyn, so I'm going to shout you out. She didn't show us the video because she's too embarrassed, but she did a show round of her kitchen, like just filmed herself and was chatting as if she was doing a show around of a hotel. And because she was practicing, one of the things that she realized is that she couldn't flip her screen while she was still filming. And if she'd been on an actual show round in the hotel and realized that, it could have been really embarrassing, and she would have had to go like that all the time. So just doing that, like taking 5 or 10 minutes to have a little practice, even if it is in your house, can make a huge difference.
And practice with that other person. It could be anyone from the hotel. I mean, we're all multitasking at the moment, so could be anyone to say, can you come with me? So what you do is you'll sit down with the person first, have a little chat, show your pre-recorded video so they have a flavor of the hotel. You've asked all your questions about the event and their situation, all of that. Then you go around the hotel. It looks really smooth because you've practiced it. You know exactly where you're walking. You know which way the door opens and things like that. And another really important thing is to brief everyone in the hotel saying, I'm going to do a virtual show round, because how bad would it be if you walked into a meeting room and there's some people, like staff, having a natter or doing something, you're like,
sorry.
Yeah.
We always used to do show round forms anyway. I've always worked with show round forms, so the whole hotel knows who they are, who's coming in, how important the piece of business is, what the names are, what they look like, everything. And I would suggest that wouldn't be any different with a virtual show round, because how impressive is it if you're doing a virtual show round, you've got somebody filming and you walk in the lobby and the concierge waves at the camera and says, hi Sarah, thanks for virtually visiting us. Like, that's really cool. So, and these things don't cost anything, and they're really easy to do.
Doesn't have to be much, does it? It just it is really the same as a face-to-face show run. You just show that you've put a little bit of extra effort into it. So we are kind of digressing from what we were going.
We've got a massive tangent. I can see Rachel Harwood's watching. Hi Rachel, nice to see you. So what clients want from a virtual show round is our next little bit that we're going to cover.
We've covered a lot of that, I think.
I feel like we've sort of done it, but there's a couple here that I think are worth mentioning. Making it different, even if it's, and I know Fem's often laughed at this, but you've had some really cheesy stuff done to you, haven't you, on show rounds, but actually you've really liked it because it shows that they put the effort in.
I think just, when you do a face-to-face show around, sometimes you walk into a room and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we've just put some scones out here or something. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. Or Prosecco or something nice, and it's the prices and just something yeah, to add
over and
that.
above.
You know, when we were talking about sending the scent of your hotel, and go, when you walk into a hotel, just have a little spray when you're sitting at your desk. This is what it will smell like.
I love that.
I know.
And you're you've actually had that happen to you, or you got it sent after your stay?
No, well, yes, well, sometimes they give them away. So I stayed at a hotel with my family, and we still have a little bottle with the scent of the hotel. And sometimes we spray it around and go, oh, imagine we were on holiday, because you really remember what it smells like.
It's
So
surprising how you smell.
I love a bit of holiday cheese or hotel or venue cheesiness.
I love it. So yeah, what clients want, over and above, even if it's cheesy, relevant to COVID time. So showing the hand sanitizers, the safety regimes you've got in place, it being professionally shot. And I don't mean getting a videographer in, but like Fen was saying, having somebody there looking like, you know, it's slick, you've practiced it, you know what you're doing. This isn't like the first one and you've got a shaky phone with you. Not time wasting, so trying not to faff about and I've just seen Ryan's watching. Hi Ryan. Thanks for joining.
Hi Ryan.
Yeah, not time wasting, making sure it's slick, like I say, and that it's rehearsed, and feeling like it's on par with an in-person show round, not like it's kind of second best option. I think is important for clients because you still want to give off that brand and you're still proving that you're a really good option. And you don't know how many virtual show rounds, they could be doing like 5 back to back. So you really need to push the boat out and make sure that you're the best option. So we're going to touch on the structure. This is something that we did with our group last week, and we went through the structure of a reactive virtual show round and the structure of a proactive virtual show round. So the kind of exact steps you should be taking pre-show round, during the show round, and then afterwards. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we haven't got time.
I was going to say, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. No. So, but I just wanted to, I think we wanted to kind of mention it to say that it's important to put that plan in place and think about how you want your clients to feel before the show round. How do you want them to be engaging with you? How are you going to be confirming it? And then what are the kind of steps that you're going to go through to take them on a journey on a reactive show round to prove that you're the best option for that inquiry. And then equally, how are you going to follow up with them? If you're doing a virtual show round, should probably follow up with them virtually, would be nice.
We love a video.
we love a video. Selling Sammy, as you can probably see. I feel like I'm so lazy at writing emails, but now I'm just like, I'll just do a video, it's so much easier. And then do you want to touch on a bit of the proactive show round structure?
Well, the proactive show round is slightly different from reactive, I think, because you don't have to show specific areas of the hotel. So with a reactive show round, if it is about a specific event, then after you've had your sit down and you've showed your initial video, you would go around the hotel and show it in the meeting rooms and just make sure your meeting rooms are set up with social distancing in mind, because there's nothing worse at the moment than going into a meeting room and all the chairs are set up and you're like, I don't want to sit next to anyone. So just make sure that everyone's ready for that. But with a proactive show around, it's really about making sure that people are there and that they're engaged and they know what's coming. So, and it doesn't have to be, proactive show around is really, again, about getting to know your client and them getting to know you. So you don't have to show all of the meeting rooms and all of the bedrooms. It might be nice to do something a little bit more interactive. So it could be, if it's like a fam trip that you've got 6 or 7 or even 10 agents. And we had this horror story of one person, and I won't mention who it was, that did a virtual show around or a virtual appointment with an agent recently, and they were all had their camera off and they were muted, and she didn't get any engagement. She was like, oh my god, I didn't know what to do, because
you're just presenting at them for half
you were
an
just
hour,
presenting
nothing.
into space. Yeah, so if you send something that's a bit interactive, say, oh, when we go around the venue, here's some information that we about our hotel, and we might do a little quiz, or you could send them something like, I mean, lots of people doing cocktail making and things like that, or something about your hotel. Say, oh, we're going to go into the kitchen and the chef is going to show you how we make our signature dish, something like that, and something that they will remember.
Treat it a bit more like a fam trip.
Like a fam trip, yeah, because
if, than a virtual show.
Again,
and
if
collaborate, like get a team building company in and do something quirky.
If there's budget for that, I know everyone's tight on budget, but whatever you do, it doesn't have to cost much.
Well, I was thinking that the team building company would want to be showcasing themselves as well.
Yeah. If they can showcase something that's socially distanced and COVID proof, then
virtual.
Everything has to be relevant.
Yeah.
So yes, and then following up again with a nice video message is always a good one, or sending something in the post. If you didn't have time to do that beforehand, send it afterwards saying, oh, the chef made his signature dish, and then you can send the recipe, or just something that makes people remember your venue above everyone else's, really.
That's my dog barking. Did you just hear that? Sorry.
Yeah, I can hear your dog. I can hear my neighbour's dog.
Yeah.
That's how loud he is. There's so much more to say. I feel like I'm kind of rambling.
We did an entire long workshop on this last year, and it's like you say, it's such a juicy topic. I really like it, and it can be so creative, and like I think it's worth everybody getting their teams on board to like brainstorm how it can work and how you can show your brand the best way possible. And if anyone has any questions, we're happy for you to send us a message afterwards. And we can share some of the videos that we really liked. Jenny is laughing at the dog. Jenny's laughing at my dog. He barks at everything. It's like a nervous wreck all the time.
Always happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much for joining, guys. This is going to be going on our YouTube channel as well, so you can re-watch it if you'd like to on there. And we will be live again for Savvy Says at 9:30 next Friday too. We will see you then, if not before.
Have a good weekend.
See you soon. Bye.